There was a parrot, next door neighbour's parrot, and it kept shouting abuse at this guy, and he couldn't take it anymore, and or he nose picked out every time he went out, and he strangled the parrot. He said, "I've had enough." He snapped. Something inside him went. Yes. His bladder, and he went. He snapped, and so did the parrot.
And why was that, Paul?
Well, the parrot had been making a bit of a nuisance, late night phone calls, that sort of thing.
Terrible, wasn't it?
Pictures of him in a pair of underpants,
Yes, all of that is true. I'm not sure about the nose-picking bit, but the rest of it was. It's all about company boss Mark Leach, who smashed down his neighbour's garden fence and strangled the Amazonian blue-fronted parrot next door after the bird had been trained to squawk the name Mark Leach over and over again. Rats escape.
Rats escape. Well, this is the next door neighbour on the other side, who had trained his rats to squeak, "Mr. Leach, Mr. Leach."
And the rats were drawing cartoons of him on the fence.
And the same man leapt over the fence and attacked the rats. But they disappeared in a twinkling up a drain pipe, and that was the end of them.
And that's the rats that Madonna was looking for when she leapt over the fence. She said, "Hang on, Mr. Leach, I'll have a look."
The rats.
Can you hold on to these knickers for me?
Broad daylight with two police officers standing by. The car known as the Rat Trap was specially designed so that
I didn't know I had John Osborne sitting next to me.
Absolutely.
The car known as the Rat Trap was specially designed so that... someone got a J cloth over there. Oh, good. Go on, be my guest. Bubble bursts for Einstein drug.
Yeah, this is the Einstein drug that the bubbles burst over.
For?
If I was Paul, I'd get a point for that.
The largest supplier of pills supposed to improve your IQ, who were fined by magistrates this week for making false claims. Larkhall...
Oh, look, it's Sniff Rhys-Jones.
I think it's probably... Oops, I dropped my pen.
There's a whole man down here.
There's a hole down here.
Somebody told me wasn't there a sketch about this show on it last week?
There was.
And you and Ian were in it.
Yeah.
I think I remember this. Doesn't the goat eat the cheque?
Well, let's see.
But Mr. Green, who proved a genius at collecting money, had slipped up badly on something quite elementary, finding out what goats like for breakfast.
Yeah. Get it back in a couple of days. Might have a hard job cashing it, though.
So my main objections to the plan are, one, you're looking at a vastly reduced collection, certainly as far as the animal staff are concerned. Unamused now.
Next, Ashdown warns MPs against what?
Shagging his secretary.
You know this bloke, don't you?
Silliness. Silly answers. But in fact, this week we do actually have a prize for real, because our winners this week get a copy of the book that everyone is talking about. Yes, it's Sex by J.G. Bennett. Full of explicit poses of J.G. Bennett in S&M gear. So there we are. You can take that home and
thank you very much.
There you are, Paul.
You've always wanted that.
But so there we are. On which delightful note we say. can you do that?
Finally in this round, Paul and Annabelle. What silly story is this?
Is that a clue that it's silly? Because that's a car, isn't it?
That's a car being towed.
I have absolutely no idea at all.
No, sort of silly story was a clue.
Is it the Silly Isles?
Yeah.
Is it the Silly Isles?
Yes, as it was your question.
And what about them, Paul?
Well, the Silly Isles...
It's full of cars.
What about the Silly Isles
There's
in
cars all
particular?
over
The Silly Isles car industry has ground to a halt.
Yeah.
It's pathetic to see a man
Yeah.
grapple so, isn't it? I'll give you one for getting Silly Isles, but
why?
It's
Oh, hurrah!
because he said
I'll
Silly
give
Isles.
you
yeah.
one. Is that a promise? Seems to be the way the score's conducted on this programme.
Just because you lost last weekend. Paul, an easy question for you this week. It's
Good.
The answer that's rather tricky. Mr. Keith Oates of Chester, Mrs. Shawar Siddiqui of East Ewell, Mr. Robert Black of Glasgow, and Mr. Gwyn Jones of Aberystwyth.
That's awfully unfair.
If you take all the letters out of their name, does it form the anagram, my name's Angus Deaton and I'm crap?
No.
How am I...
Unfortunately.
Who are these... Why am I getting these impossible questions?
Because it's just such fun to see your reaction.
No, you're such a good sport, Paul.
Yes. I do so enjoy this part of the show.
Have you got the new Madonna book yet?
I've seen bits of it.
It's actually quite heavy, you know, especially if you're holding it in one hand. Your uncle lent me a copy.
The Bishop of Galway, Samantha Fox, and the lovely Stephen Fry.
I used to go out with the Bishop of Galway.
Yes, that's not the answer, though, Paul. True as it may be.
He wasn't as black and white in those days.
I think this is...
That's me behind him there, look. He's just said to me out the corner, lose yourself, there's a photographer in the room.
It's not the right answer, unfortunately.
No, it never is the right answer.
Never the right answer. It's an interesting answer, though, more interesting than the one I've got. BBC riddled with what, says TV Chief?
Awful hosts of topical quiz shows.
Red tape is a slightly dull answer.
Look at that old trout.
On which feasible note...
I wouldn't like one of them to swim up my arse.
What do you say? I wouldn't like one of them to swim up me arse.
Bravo.
I'll say it again, I wouldn't like one of them to swim up my arse.
Yes, that's fine. And before you comment on my voice, let me tell you that's the last time I French kissed Bill Clinton.
I'm sorry about your voice, Angus.
Are you?
Yeah. I think you must be doing all those advertising voiceovers all week.
Did you see The Sun today?
No, I didn't.
Did you see Angus? Apparently he lives with Eric Sykes.
It is the EC directive that all...
Are you talking at the moment?
I thought it was a story in The Sun again about who Angus is living with. This is Kate Adie in Angus's wife fronts. I should point out that it's exactly a year, Guy Fawkes night. Exactly a year since Robert Maxwell died. Sort of Guy Drowns night.
Yes.
Do you think in years to come children will gather around big pools of water?
Channel 4 celebrates 10 years of what?
Marvellous television.
Rubbish like the Paul Merton show.
That didn't get out very well, strangely.
Countdown?
What, the show?
It was all right. And finally, to show there are no hard feelings, George Bush issues a last message to the American voters. And with Patrick McGowan, with Paul Merton this week.
What do you want?
I enjoyed the Sun's reaction to the most important decision since the Reformation. Yes to Vickers with knickers.
The Americans are refusing to admit they're targeting the French in particular. Curious then that they've imposed tariffs on red wine, onions, frog's legs and breath fresheners, reinforcing the spirit
and what fresheners?
breath fresheners.
Breath fresheners.
Imagine
it's an advert, a breath freshener.
yeah. Now I've got it.
They're not paying him enough.
No. Is Eric all right?
He's very well. He sends his love, actually.
Did he ever get the plank out for old time's sake?
Yeah, and he watches the film as well sometimes. The shoes have now survived being immersed in the sea for over 2 years, a quality which it's been suggested could well be marketed. Not sure quite how large a market there is for ocean-tested sopping wet trainers. Nike #1 with sea bass.
Maxwell could advertise them. Or you could do the voiceover.
I could do that. Keep your nose out of Ulster.
Clinton, who's the new president of the United States, has said that he's going to solve the problems of Ulster. And people are very upset that the Americans are telling us how to run our country. Because that's the Germans' job. No, I mean, it is just Bill Clinton sucking up to someone else. I mean, when he's in Boston, he's Billy old Clinton and I'll send over me envoy. And when he's in New York, he's Bill Clinton Stein, famed Hasidic Jew. And when he's in the West, he's Wild Bill Clinton, good old boy. And he's just a fraud, really. Still, good luck to him. Not like me to knock a new president before I've seen him in action.
No.
I think there's a car link, isn't there? Because Mansell drives cars, unless Senna's coming up his backside. Which is probably the right place for a Senna to be, really, isn't it?
It's about planes.
Hang on, stop trying to get points. Is what he was going to say.
I was going to say, is it about planes? At all?
Not in company.
Is correct.
Sorry, Paul.
Which errant nonsense acts as a final curtain to this week's jesting contest. Just about.
Is it Gummer saying, I wouldn't want one of those swimming up me arse?
I think...
I don't know, it usually is in the caption competition.
Yes, very good. Right, Paul and Ken, what ideas do you have for this one?
I can't be bothered, to be honest with you.
Rebellion.
On which uplifting note, we say thank you to our panellists.
This was fixed.
No, I always thank them.
Oh, do you know?
Yeah. David and Nick... David? Sorry.
I don't mind being called David.
No, I'll call you David Burton. It's going totally well so far.
I think we've lost them.
No. There we go. Q Angus, thank you. Yes,
I was fined £20,000 once for contempt of court.
I can hardly believe it.
It's amazing. It was by an Attorney General, the same sort of Attorney General that signed all those public interest orders. What a...
What a cad, yeah. What
a coincidence is that? The 20s, the figures.
He's on his high horse.
He's on his high horse.
Yeah, he is.
He's entitled. Calm down. I'm not saying anything. I don't want the Attorney General on my back. Well...
What did you say that was so contemptuous?
I don't think I'll repeat it.
Do it in mime. Is it a book? Robert Maxwell falling off a boat, explosion.
Yes, I think we can guess the rest of it. It's
It's not much of a defence to say this only happened because he's Vinnie Jones. I mean, that's like saying at the outbreak of the Second World War, it's only happening because he's Adolf Hitler, isn't it?
It didn't work anyway, because he got fined £20,000.
Well, Hitler did. I'm not surprised the trouble he caused. He was a ruddy nuisance. It's named Curry's disease after Edwina Curry because she once complained that people in the north didn't eat a balanced diet, and apparently if you eat all the wrong kind of food it makes you very ill, and it's been sort of dubbed Curry's disease.
A perfect answer. And joke-free as well, which is excellent. It is an illness which doctors...
Oh, well, I'll do it again with a joke, all right?
Yeah, all right.
Is this the thing where Edwina Curry sort of, said people in the north? There's this Irishman, Englishman, and Scotsman.
It's Alan Walters.
Who does your hair?
Bart Simpson.
Donald, do you know him?
No. I thought it might be Dewhurst.
Oh, right.
That's Eric, all right. Is Eric all right?
Very well. Very well. Yeah.
You should have Eric on the show, you know.
He's coming on next week.
Is he? Oh, I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Is Hattie coming on?
I hope not. She's been dead 8 years.
Policeman says, God, I wouldn't like 4 of them swimming up my arse.
And with Paul Merton this week, a writer and actress who's tonight enjoying the first break from her tiny, chubby, hairless baby, which is why we decided to not put her on Ian's team. Please welcome Mira Sayal.
If dolphins are intelligent, why has one never hosted a topical news quiz?
Until
why.
Now. That's why.
Frank Boff usually pleases you.
Really? I didn't know that. Does Eric know about this?
And all the redcoats at Filey still remember Glenda Jackson. Nowadays, of course, she works with another bunch of comedians dressed in red. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, indeed.
My name's Angus Deaton. Good night.
I think it's time to bring that dolphin in, you know.
You can see why it would cost $20,000 to fly her over, because they have to do it in bits and then reassemble her here.
It is the revelation that almost £20,000 a time is being handed over to celebrities for 5-minute appearances on Friday night with Wogan, as a result of which next week's edition of Have I Got News For You will be presented by Alan Titchmarsh. Leslie Nielsen...
Nice suit. I always think brown is tremendously underrated. As a colour.
Just going to blow my nose to make sure that this gets edited out.
The words
That's not very British.
Sorry.
I'll just carry on saying it. Brown suit.
Right, where were we? Oh, yes.
We were talking about your brown suit.
Oh, dear.
The one bloke had his sexual organs wired up to the Christmas lights in Regent Street. And so when they were sort of turned on, you know, the Regent Street was full of colour, and you could just hear this voice going, "My God, yes!"
There's a photograph of him in a brown suit.
Yeah. It's one of the telltale signs, apparently.
Yes.
Do you know you're sitting in broken glass?
Yes, I was that man, I admit it. It's Heil Thatcher. What's that all about?
Oh, this is about one of the most disgraceful and infamous attacks on one of the most beloved figures of our generation.
What, Hitler?
And somebody actually plastered or drew a moustache on a picture of Baroness Thatcher. And it was the police have pulled in about 12 million suspects. And do you know, next week, do you know what's going to happen next week? They're going to colour in John Major. So. It'll be a real challenge to us.
It is the disturbing news that some irresponsible vandal has had the audacity to paint a Hitler moustache on the portrait of Mrs. Thatcher, oh, Baroness Thatcher, sorry, in the Commons coffee room. It must be the first time she's been touched up since Cecil left. Investigators think that the vandal is probably a long-time rival of Mrs. Thatcher's from an opposition party and recently freed from the constraints of official responsibility. No names have been issued. Suffice to say, this studio has been surrounded. Paul and Neil.
What is that colour actually called? Is it called creosote?
I'm not sure. It doesn't say.
What is it?
It says Winfield. Paul and Neil's the more
what did Mr. Winfield say when you took his suit there?
Thank you. I wouldn't want one of them swimming up my arse. It's not brown, that jacket, is it?
I'm delighted to say it's not even remotely brown, Paul. I chose it specially.
It just looks brown on you.
Yes. Thank you. So,
the sad thing, I read in the Express, actually, that about Princess Di. She attracted beautiful young men like moths. And so poor Charles had all these people flapping at the windows as soon as they turned the lights on. And, there's nothing worse than a man like a moth just flapping at your window. There's awful little things out there.
Very nice.
And they won't go away. They won't go away.
Shouting squidgy through the window. Lie in.
This is the story of the week. A man who had not much success with women fell in love with the family car, which is an Austin Metro, so you can understand it. Yeah. And he used to take it into the woods and have sexual relationships with this car.
The exhaust pipe, presumably.
Oh, absolutely. The exhaust pipe, all sorts of different, and the back seat with nobody else being there. And apparently, I don't know if we're allowed to say, I don't know what sort of details we're allowed to go into, but...
I'd go for it if I were you.
Yeah. I'll let you know.
But apparently a sex therapist basically has been trying to wean him off the car by encouraging him to masturbate with the car, but at the last moment nipping in a picture of a naked woman in the hope that give him an idea of the direction he should be going.
Yeah. But, terrible if you got your pictures wrong or something. And you showed a packet of digestive biscuits. Totally embarrassing in the supermarket, isn't it? Suddenly you get an erection by the hobnobs.
Yes. Well, blow me if it isn't round 4, which it is, fortunately, so that saved us all from a rather embarrassing spectacle.
I wonder what happened under that desk.
Very little.
It's got a Sinclair C5 under there, look.
Odd One Out's the name of the game. For worthy winners, which one is the Paul Merton? Sorry, which one is the odd one out?
Is Mussolini having a medical there?
Yes. In Mussolini, The Untold Story, his part was played by George C. Scott.
Well, how can it be an untold story if they told it?
It was just
See, Mussolini, The Untold Story, you then don't make the film.
Yes, no, I think you're misunderstanding for comic effect. It was...
Sorry. I do hope there's no bitterness or unpleasantness.
No.
I'm going to go on with the two people who were up for the same award.
No. I'm not bitter.
No. What's 2% between hardened enemies? It's
difference between first and second, isn't it?
In Mussolini the Untold Story, his
Are you
part
being
was
sponsored by Mussolini the Untold Story? Every time you say Mussolini the Untold Story, another penny goes towards blind Labrador. I wouldn't be surprised if he said it again in a minute. Are you trying to turn this into a catchphrase?
I'm sorry, not quite as predictable as that.
Oh, get off me, Angus.
Oh dear. Right, sorry, where were we? Here we go. Guess what the next line you're going to do. In Jackie Onassis, Douglas. On to your question.
Is that Jason Donovan in the background?
No, he wouldn't be hanging around Prince Edward. Good grief!
I think why wouldn't he?
Because he doesn't suck up to the royal family.
Right, yes. Thank you. Ian and Stephen, what's in a phone call?
I don't know. It's the sort of thing that tabloids spend their time writing about. I don't read it. I have no idea.
Right.
I know we have a royal family, but I never read any more about it. It's something to do with them. Have they had another child?
No, it's
What?
It's the Gold Blend couple, isn't it?
Oh, is it something about Andrew Morton being called an anus horribilis or something?
Yeah, this is part of the conspiracy by John Major to cover up his incompetence. Whenever he's doing something particularly useless, they announce that the royal couple are to separate.
They're not.
They are.
Oh, why?
Well, do you like Angus's tie?
Very brown, isn't it?
Yes. I knew it was a mistake.
I think there was an election earlier this year, and...
Nothing gets past you, does
no,
it?
And the Labour Party, terribile dictu, lost. And...
And there were some scenes of various celebrities who'd supported them looking rather sad.
Yes, all right. And, obviously, it was a Black Thursday for us.
His solicitor's office was raided, you know, in one of those coincidences that happen when burglars go in, get into the safe and find the only document about the private life of the leader of the Liberal Democratic Party.
You're turning into a bit of an old cynic, aren't you? You are.
You could be right.
Or not, by the sounds of things.
What's a blue shirt?
It's a shirt which is blue.
Unlike a suit that is brown.
Very, very dissimilar to that.
I feel right at home in this gymnasium.
Yes.
That's the most amusing clip you could find.
Yes. Highlight, Desert Orchid, Princess Anne, and Camilla Parker Bowles.
Who is Highlight?
That's Prince Charles' horse, polo horse.
Well, Prince Charles has rode them all apart from...
Get out. Get out. Get out. Go on.
Princess Anne also gets one from him, as does Camilla Parker Bowles, whom he also sends a card to. Despite Charles' reticence...
I hope you're going to prove that, Angus.
In court, I shall do. Despite Charles' reticence...
I wouldn't wear that bow tie, because juries go off. Things like that.
And the brown suit. Despite Charles' reticence...
It'll be brown by the time you get there.
Oh, dear. Maxwell was buried at the top of the Mount of Olives in order to make his journey to heaven shorter. Little did he know he was actually making his journey slightly longer. Mellor in what for 5 years?
Is it brown suit?
Mellor. No, cold is in fact the answer. And the overall winner, well, is neither of them in fact, because we've ended up over the whole series as 5 games apiece, which is a fitting, if dull, way to end.
Why don't you have an odd number of programmes, you idiot?